let's move to the administrative section, please. Could I have a motion? So moved. Rowdy made the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
I think Mr. Wilkerson snuck in there on you, Mary, or Fred. Okay, Trish.
Okay. Item A is the following policies for a 30-day public review and comment. And each of the policies, the first one on the meetings revised, here's an attachment. Second one, employee pay, that's a new one, there's an attachment. And the third one, the school calendar, which is a new policy, it's also attached.
And these are all going public review.
Yes, for 30 days.
Now, let's just, I think I've already alluded to the first one here on our meetings. But the second one on employee pay, I think we've had a couple of questions asked about that. That this would, they're saying, well, is this dependent upon the employees voting for the 24 pays? But my understanding is that that really would be irrelevant, that these would be the days that everybody got paid, and should we go to 24 pays, that would just remain their pay days too, correct? So this really isn't dependent upon the vote on the 24 pays.
Right.
Either way, it would work. Okay. And just for, we try to solicit, we're all public reviewers, so we try to solicit comments. We may get some written comments, that's a great idea, that's a terrible idea. But we think we've gone beyond the call of duty here by actually sending letters to our employees, soliciting how they feel. You want to vote yes or no. So, the whole idea of going on public review, no one's made a decision yet. We want to hear what our people that work for the board say, and we want to see comments, and then we can make our decisions. So just because it's on public review, I know I had a couple people say, well, you all have already decided. I said, well, no, we haven't. We wouldn't have it on public review. That's the whole purpose of it. And number 3, I'm not going to, you or Mr. Mickey are going to touch that.
Okay. On the third one, the school calendar, I do want to bring your attention to page 5 of this policy. There should be a correction under number 1, where it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th line down where it says grades K through 4 for 315 minutes per day. It should read K through 5. And then on the same line, that should say grades 6 through 8.
I'll get those 2 correct.
Instead of grades 5 through 8, grades 6 through 8.
Yes.
Okay, fine, 6A.
And this policy reads exactly as the bill that was passed by the legislature. It was vetted through Bowles-Rice as well as the State Department of Education's counsel, and it is verbatim what was passed by the legislature. I will point out, I want to note, because we had this conversation back during one of the public meetings that we had, regarding changes in the calendar in terms of what days would be used to make up for lost instruction. And we had a conversation about the board at its first meeting following the preceding month when we would have been out or missed certain, days due to inclement weather or whatever the case may be. The board at that time would take the superintendent's suggestions as to recommendations as to what days or how, that's I guess how we would make up for the lost instruction, what days we would use. Well, that language was just a suggestion and not part of the actual bill. And it's not included in this policy. And the more I thought about it, it makes sense that we wouldn't include it because you never know what the circumstances are going to be. We could end up in a situation where we would need to make a decision about making up lost instruction sooner than meeting at the first board meeting of, the next month. So you'll see that language in there is absent.
Jeff, at one time, we understood that they were going to ask us to submit such a policy. If they no longer are going to do that, or was that?
They left it up to each county initially. to adopt a policy to approve and send on to the State
How you
Department.
gonna make up days, right?
Right.
Page 6.
So, yeah,
Oh, you were there? Yeah.
it does explain over at top of page 6 what our options are. You'll see that there's 3 boxes there at the top
Yeah.
as to how you as a board will make up the lost instruction. The first one says requiring additional minutes of instruction to the school day beyond the state minimums and the formulation of the calendar. Now, that's not a requirement that the board do so, but it is an option. But for us, it's not really, because we already have an 8-hour workday in place. We couldn't add on to the number of minutes during the day. We're already at the max. So that first option is not really an option for us. The second one is authorizing the superintendent to administratively adjust the school day schedules after the school term has begun. So on the fly, you know, if we know there's some fluff maybe in one of the daily school schedules out there, maybe they have a skills period, or maybe a little longer lunch period than what they need, that we could make adjustments, the superintendent could make an adjustment to their schedule to allow for more instructional time. And then the third option, and this is the one that we know that we're locked into, it requires boards to have additional days of instruction be added by converting non-instructional days to instructional days, or by using out-of-calendar days for instruction. So we have 9 days built in, which is our 6 OS days. We have a couple of teacher prep days, CE day. Those are all days that we could use that's already built in to make up for lost instruction. And then once we get beyond those 9 days, that's where the board comes in terms of deciding whether or not, you know, we're looking at spring break, or we're looking at days in June to make up for lost instruction.
And that's, we're really kind of what we've done in the past, right? Is there any requirement that you, after those first 9 days, that you do any particular, you know, take a OS day first, or do they just leave it up to you?
Right.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions about that? All right, then we'll go ahead and proceed to the
Okay. Item B, the adoption of the following new and/or revised policies effective immediately, because these have been on the public review for the 30 days. Policy 3420, the Lincoln County Excess Levy Funded Pension Benefits. Policy 5422, the dual credit policy for Lincoln County Schools, and this is a new one. 5423, embedded credit policy for Lincoln County Schools. That's a new one. Policy 1530, evaluation of central office personnel, that was a revised. Policy 1530.01, evaluation of school leaders, that's revised. Policy 3120, employment of professional personnel, a revised. Policy 3130.01, the transfer policy personnel, that's a revised. Policy 3131, reduction in force, classroom teachers and other professional personnel, that's a revised. Policy 3132, vacancies, professional position, revised. Policy 3220, staff evaluation, revised. Policy 4130, assignment and transfer of service personnel, is revised. And policy 8390, that's use of service animals, that's a new policy. Item C, to award a bid to White's Napa for the purchase of a mobile column lift and jack stands, totaling $28,825. For the county funds. Item D, a contract with Chuck HUS to provide orientation and mobility training for identified students for the 2014-2015 school year, according to the terms of the contract paid for through special education funds. Item E, a contract with Bright Futures Learning Services, LLC, to provide staff training on applied behavior analysis, as well as technical assistance and consultation for the 2014-2015 school year, according to the terms of the contract paid for by the special education funds. Item F, a contract with Solutions Positive Behavior Strategies to provide applied behavior analysis services for referred students for the 2014-2015 school year, according to the terms of the contract, also paid for through special education funds. Item G, a contract with Developmental Therapy Center, Inc., to provide occupational, physical, and speech therapy services for identified students for the 2014-2015 school year, according to the terms of the contract paid for through special education funds.
Okay. Mouthful.
Yes.
Okay, any comments or questions or anything about any of those?
I would just add that in looking at the materials in regard to item C, that the bid for the mobile column lift and jack stands was based on a properly bid purchase procedure. Multiple bids were submitted, and this is the lowest bid submitted, correct?
Correct.
Okay. One comment or question I have.
Okay, nothing else, then we'll call for the question. All those in favor, is that an all yes vote?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we'll go to the personnel section. Do we have a motion?
I move.
Carol makes the motion.
I'll second.
Rowdy seconds.
Okay. Section A, leave of absence. Section B is for resignation and or retirements, and that's noted under the effective date. And section C, employment of professional personnel pending issuance of certification and or licensure in the FDICID clearance. And I am requesting that we go into executive session
Is that relative to some of these?
to on something that is on this schedule.
Okay. Beyond that point. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for personnel matter. Have such a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Bacon makes a motion to go into executive session for personnel matter at 7:21 PM. Do I have a second? I'll second. Mr. Curry seconds. Is that all yes vote?